Hello, and welcome back. I'm really glad you're here today. Find a comfortable position. Maybe you're sitting at your desk. Maybe you're lying on your bed. Maybe you're on a bus, looking out the window, watching the world move by. Take a slow breath in and let it go. Today, I want to talk about something very simple and very powerful. A small thing that can take up a lot of space in our minds. Why do I overthink simple text messages? Maybe you've asked yourself this before. You send a message, or you receive one, and suddenly your heart feels a little faster. Your mind starts asking questions. What did they mean by that? Why did they use a period? Why didn't they use an emoji? Why haven't they replied yet? It's just a message on a screen. But sometimes it feels much bigger than that. Today, I want to explore this with you slowly, gently through a story, through language, through reflection. Not to judge ourselves, but to understand ourselves. Let me tell you about a morning a few weeks ago. I woke up early. The room was still quiet. The light outside my window was soft and gray. I reached for my phone almost automatically. It's a habit now. Before I even sit up, I check my messages. There was one message waiting for me. It was from a friend. Just 4 words. Okay, I understand. That was it. No emoji. No exclamation mark. Just a period at the end. Okay, I understand. I stared at the screen longer than I want to admit. Okay, I understand. My mind immediately began to move. Do they really understand? Are they upset? Does okay mean they're disappointed? Why didn't they say more? And suddenly, the quiet morning felt different. The soft light didn't feel peaceful anymore. My chest felt tight. Have you ever experienced something like that? A simple message that becomes a puzzle. Let's look at that phrase together. Okay, I understand. On the surface, it's clear. Okay, I understand. Repeat after me. Okay, I understand. Try saying it slowly. Okay, I understand. It sounds calm, doesn't it? Neutral, maybe even kind. But when we overthink, we don't just read the words. We read between the words. We imagine tone. We imagine emotion. We imagine hidden meaning. And sometimes we imagine rejection. That morning, I put my phone down, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. I made coffee, I brushed my teeth, I opened my laptop. But in the background of my mind, there was a quiet voice asking, did I say something wrong? Notice that question. Did I say something wrong? That's a powerful sentence. Repeat it with me. Did I say something wrong? Try it again, slowly. Did I say something wrong? When we overthink text messages, we often turn inward. We assume the problem is us. Maybe you've thought, maybe I was too direct. Maybe I was too emotional. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. We start rewriting the conversation in our head. We imagine different versions. I should have written it like this. I should have added a smiley face. I should have explained more. Overthinking is like replaying a short movie again and again, hoping the ending will change. but the message on the screen stays the same. Okay, I understand. Later that day, I decided to ask my friend directly. I wrote, "Hey, just checking, are we okay?" That's a useful phrase. Just checking, are we okay? Repeat after me. Just checking, are we okay? It's gentle. It's honest. It doesn't accuse. It doesn't attack. It simply asks. A few minutes later, my phone buzzed. Yes, of course. Why? Why? Just one word. Why? And in that moment, I realized something important. The tension I felt that morning existed only in my mind. My friend wasn't upset. They weren't disappointed. They weren't secretly angry. They were just busy. Okay, I understand. That's all it meant. But I had built a whole emotional story around it. Have you ever done that? Built a story from silence. Built a story from punctuation. There's another situation I want to share with you. This one happened in the evening. I sent a message to someone I care about. It was thoughtful, a little vulnerable. I wrote about my day. I shared how I was feeling. I even said, "I really appreciate you." Then I waited. 5 minutes passed. 10 minutes. 30 minutes. I checked my phone again. No reply. An hour. Still nothing. And that's when the overthinking began. Maybe they didn't like what I said. Maybe I was too much. Maybe they're losing interest. Notice that phrase. Maybe I was too much. Repeat it softly. Maybe I was too much. This is a common fear, not just in text messages, in life. Too emotional, too sensitive, too honest, too needy. When someone doesn't reply quickly, our mind fills in the silence. And often, the story we create is not kind to ourselves. Let's practice a helpful sentence. Maybe they're just busy. Say it with me. Maybe they're just busy. Again. Maybe they're just busy. Simple, calm, neutral. But when we feel insecure, it's hard to believe that sentence. Because overthinking is not really about the message. It's about fear. Fear of rejection. Fear of misunderstanding. Fear of not being valued. Text messages are short. They are fast. They are convenient. But they are also incomplete. There's no voice, no facial expression, no body language, just words and our imagination. When we talk face to face, we can see a smile, we can hear a warm tone, we can notice a gentle laugh. But on a screen, a period can feel cold. An emoji can feel powerful. A delayed reply can feel personal, even when it's not. Let me tell you something personal. When I was younger, I used to wait for messages all the time. I would send something simple like, "Are you free this weekend?" And then I would watch my phone. I would imagine the other person reading it. I would imagine them thinking about it. I would imagine them choosing not to reply. That phrase, choosing not to reply, felt painful. Repeat it slowly. Choosing not to reply. It sounds intentional. It sounds personal. But often, it's not. Often, people are driving, working, cooking, resting, living their lives. Not everything is about us. But when we overthink, everything feels like it is. Over time, I started noticing a pattern. The more tired I was, the more I overthought. The more stressed I was, the more I assumed the worst. Overthinking grows in silence. It grows when we feel uncertain. It grows when we don't feel secure inside ourselves. So the real question is not, why did they write that? But, why did I react this way? Let's say that together. Why did I react this way? That question is powerful because it brings the focus back to us not to blame ourselves, but to understand ourselves. Sometimes a simple message touches an old wound. Maybe in the past, someone ignored you. Maybe someone suddenly stopped replying. Maybe you were left without explanation. So now, even a small delay feels familiar. And your body reacts before your logic does. Your heart feels tight. Your thoughts move quickly. You start analyzing every word. This is not weakness. This is memory. Emotional memory. And when we learn English, we are not just learning vocabulary. We are learning how to describe these inner experiences. For example, the phrase, "I'm reading too much into this." Repeat after me. I'm reading too much into this. It means I am giving this situation more meaning than it probably has. Try saying it again. I'm reading too much into this. That sentence alone can calm the mind. Another useful phrase. I might be overthinking it. Say it slowly. I might be overthinking it. There is humility in that sentence. There is self-awareness. It doesn't deny your feelings, but it creates space between your feelings and reality. Let me tell you about a small change I started making. When I notice myself overthinking a message, I put my phone down. I stand up. I walk to the window. I take one slow breath. And I ask myself, what else could this mean? That question is gentle. What else could this mean? Not, why are they doing this to me? But, what else could this mean? Maybe they're tired. Maybe they're distracted. Maybe they think everything is fine and don't realize I'm worried. Overthinking often comes from assuming one negative explanation and believing it completely. But life is rarely that simple. There are many possibilities. And when we practice English, we can practice flexible thinking too. For example, it could mean nothing. Repeat it. It could mean nothing. Or, I don't have all the information yet. Say that with me. I don't have all the information yet. That word "yet" is powerful. It reminds us that the story is not finished. Sometimes we want immediate clarity, immediate reassurance, immediate replies. But relationships don't always move at the speed of our anxiety. And that's okay. I remember one evening when I decided not to check my phone for 2 hours. Just 2 hours. It felt uncomfortable at first. I kept wanting to reach for it. But instead, I made tea. I sat quietly. I listened to the sound of water boiling. and slowly, the urgency inside me became softer. When I finally checked my phone, there was a kind reply waiting for me. Nothing dramatic, nothing emotional, just normal. And I smiled, not because of the message, but because I realized something. The peace I felt did not come from their reply. It came from my pause, from the space I created. Maybe overthinking simple text messages is not really about communication. Maybe it's about learning to trust. Trust other people. And trust ourselves. Trust that if there is a problem, we can talk about it. Trust that silence does not always mean rejection. Trust that we are worthy even when the screen is quiet. Sometimes I feel that our phones have become small mirrors. We look at them and we see our fears reflected back to us. But we also see our hopes, our desire to connect, our desire to be understood. And that desire is beautiful. You are not strange for overthinking. You are human. You care. You want clarity. You want closeness. But maybe the next time you receive a simple message, you can take one breath before reacting. Read it once, then read it again, more gently. Imagine a neutral tone. Imagine a kind face. Imagine the best possible meaning, not the worst. And if you're still unsure, you can ask, just checking, are we okay? Clear, simple, honest. Language is not just grammar and vocabulary. It is a bridge between your inner world and someone else's. When we overthink text messages, the bridge feels fragile. But it doesn't have to be. You are learning how to express your thoughts. You are learning how to notice your reactions. You are learning how to pause before believing every anxious idea. And that is growth. Maybe tonight, after listening to this, you will send a message. Or maybe you will receive one. If your mind starts to race, try saying softly, I might be overthinking it. Take a breath. Put your phone down for a moment and come back to yourself. Because you are more than a notification. You are more than a typing bubble. You are a whole person with depth and history and feelings. And simple text messages are just simple text messages. I want to stay here with you a little longer. Because even after we understand something logically, our emotions do not always change immediately. You can tell yourself it's just a message. You can say they're probably busy. And still, your chest feels tight. Your fingers want to check the screen again. Your mind whispers, what if? What if they're upset? What if they're losing interest? What if I said too much? Overthinking often begins with those two words. What if? Repeat them slowly. What if? They sound small, but they open the door to many imagined futures. And most of those futures are not kind. Very rarely do we think, what if they're planning a surprise? What if they're smiling right now? What if they're grateful for my message? Our minds are creative. But when we feel insecure, our creativity turns against us. I remember one particular afternoon. I had sent a voice message to someone I cared about. It was honest. I spoke about something that mattered to me. I didn't rehearse it. I didn't edit it. I just spoke. After I sent it, I immediately felt exposed. That's a powerful word. Exposed. It means open, vulnerable, without protection. Repeat it. Exposed. I sat there, looking at the little icon that showed my message had been delivered. Delivered, but not yet listened to. And my mind started creating stories again. Maybe it was too emotional. Maybe my voice sounded strange. Maybe I shared too much. Have you ever felt that after sending a message? That sudden wish to delete it, to take it back? We can practice that phrase too. I wish I could take it back. Say it slowly. I wish I could take it back. But messages once sent usually stay sent. And that's when the real practice begins. Not the practice of English, but the practice of staying calm, of allowing uncertainty, of not trying to control someone else's reaction. After about an hour, I saw that the voice message had been played, but there was still no reply. Now my thoughts became louder. If they listened and didn't reply, that must mean something. Notice how quickly we move from possibility to conclusion. That must mean something. Say it with me. That must mean something. It sounds certain, strong, final. But often, it's just our anxiety trying to create clarity. Later that evening, a reply came. It was warm, thoughtful, kind. They said they needed time to think about what I shared. That's all. They needed time. And in that moment, I realized something again. Silence does not always mean rejection. Silence can mean processing. Silence can mean reflection. Silence can mean someone is taking you seriously. But when we overthink, we rarely imagine that version of silence. We imagine distance. We imagine coldness. We imagine loss. Why? Because many of us have experienced moments where silence did mean something painful. Maybe someone slowly stopped replying. Maybe someone disappeared without explanation. Maybe you once waited for a message that never came, and that memory lives inside your body. So when a simple delay happens now, your body remembers the old pain. This is important to understand. Sometimes we are not reacting to the present message. We are reacting to the past. Let's practice a sentence that can help. This feeling is old. Say it quietly. This feeling is old. It doesn't mean your current situation is not real. It simply means the intensity might be connected to something earlier. Another helpful phrase, I am safe right now. Repeat after me. I am safe right now. Even if someone replies slowly, even if someone uses a period instead of an emoji, even if someone writes only, okay, you are still safe. Your value does not disappear because of punctuation. Your worth is not measured in response time. Let's talk about response time for a moment. How quickly should someone reply? Immediately. Within 5 minutes. Within an hour. There is no universal rule, but our expectations are often silent and invisible. We think, if they care, they will reply quickly. That sentence sounds logical, but life is more complex than that. Someone can care deeply and still be busy. Someone can love you and still need space. Someone can appreciate you and still be tired. When we connect care with speed, we create pressure. Pressure on others. And pressure on ourselves. Because then we also feel guilty if we don't reply quickly enough. Maybe you've had this thought. I should answer now, or they'll think I don't care. Repeat it. I should answer now, or they'll think I don't care. That's anxiety speaking again. Healthy communication is not about constant availability. It's about clarity. It's about honesty. It's about trust over time. I once had a friend who was very different from me. They rarely used emojis. Their messages were short, direct, sometimes just one sentence. At first, I interpreted that as cold. I thought, maybe they're not very interested in talking to me. But when we met in person, they were warm, attentive, present. Their texting style was simply different. Different does not mean distant. Repeat that. Different does not mean distant. That sentence helped me relax. Because sometimes we expect everyone to communicate the way we do. If we use heart emojis, we expect heart emojis back. If we write long messages, we expect long replies. But people have different habits, different rhythms, different comfort levels with digital communication. And learning this is part of emotional maturity. Instead of asking, why don't they text like me? We can ask, how do they usually communicate? That question brings curiosity instead of judgment. Curiosity is calm. Judgment is tense. Overthinking lives in judgment. Peace lives in curiosity. Sometimes I imagine text messages as small paper boats on a river. We write something. We place it on the water, and we watch it float away. We cannot control how fast it reaches the other side. We cannot control how the other person receives it. All we can control is what we place on the boat. Was it honest? Was it respectful? Was it clear? If the answer is yes, then we have done our part. The rest belongs to the current of the river. When I feel myself starting to overthink, I ask 3 gentle questions. First, did I communicate clearly? Second, was I kind? Third, am I assuming the worst? That last question is important. Am I assuming the worst? Say it with me. Am I assuming the worst? If the answer is yes, I try to pause. Not to force positive thinking, but to create balance. Maybe it's not the worst. Maybe it's neutral. Maybe it's even good. Overthinking often feels urgent. It says, solve this now. Understand this now. Fix this now. But not everything needs immediate solving. Some things simply need time. Time for the other person to reply. Time for emotions to settle. Time for perspective. You are learning English, and that takes time. You are also learning how to manage your thoughts, and that takes time too. Be patient with both. I've noticed something else. When my life feels full, when I have meaningful work, hobbies, conversations, movement, I overthink less. But when I am bored, lonely, or uncertain about my direction, I focus more on small digital details. A message becomes the center of my day. A reply becomes the measure of my mood. That's a lot of power to give to a small screen. So sometimes the solution is not analyzing the message. It's building a fuller life outside of it. Going for a walk. Calling a friend. Reading a book. Practicing English aloud. When your world feels larger, a single message feels smaller. And that's healthy. You deserve a life that is bigger than your notifications. There's one more phrase I want you to practice today. My thoughts are not facts. Say it clearly. My thoughts are not facts. Again. My thoughts are not facts. This sentence is powerful because overthinking often treats thoughts like truth. If I think they're upset, it must be true. If I feel rejected, it must be happening. But thoughts are interpretations. They are guesses, sometimes accurate, sometimes not. When you receive a simple message and your mind begins to create a story, you can gently remind yourself, this is just one interpretation. There may be others. And if you truly need clarity, you can ask for it. Clear communication is braver than silent anxiety. Instead of analyzing for hours, you can write, "Hey, I just want to make sure I understood you correctly." That sentence is respectful. It shows maturity. It shows that you value the relationship more than your fear. Over time, as you practice this, something beautiful happens. You begin to trust your ability to handle discomfort. You realize that even if someone is upset, you can talk about it. Even if there is misunderstanding, you can clarify it. Even if there is rejection, you can survive it. And when you truly believe that, simple text messages lose their power over you. They become what they are meant to be. Small tools for communication, not tests of your worth, not proof of your value, just words on a screen. Tonight or tomorrow, you will probably send another message or receive one, and maybe your mind will still react. That's okay. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to stop overthinking completely. Just notice it, name it, and breathe through it. You can say, I'm overthinking again, with a small smile, not with shame. Awareness is already growth. You are not weak because you care. You are not dramatic because you feel. You are human, and you are learning. Not just English, but patience. Not just vocabulary, but self-trust. Every time you choose to pause instead of panic, you are strengthening something inside you. A quiet confidence, a steady center. And that center is more important than any message. I'm really grateful you spent this time with me. If this topic felt personal, it's because it is. For you, for me, for many of us, we are all learning how to live in this fast digital world without losing our calm, human hearts. And you are doing better than you think. Before we finish completely, I want to sit with one more quiet truth. Sometimes we don't overthink the message. We overthink what the message says about us. That's a deeper layer. For example, Imagine you send a long, thoughtful paragraph. You explain your feelings clearly. You choose your words carefully. And the reply you receive is short. Sounds good. 2 words. Sounds good. Read it slowly in your mind. Sounds good. Now notice what your mind does next. Is that all? Did they even read what I wrote? Why don't they say more? But maybe the real fear underneath is this. Am I too much for people? That question is heavy. Am I too much for people? It doesn't really come from the present moment. It usually comes from old experiences. Maybe you were told you were too sensitive, too quiet, too loud, too emotional, too serious, too different. So now, when a response feels small, your old fear wakes up. See, you are too much. But a short reply does not automatically mean rejection. Some people are efficient with words. Some people believe short messages are clear messages. Some people feel deeply, but don't express deeply in text. We must be careful not to measure emotional depth by word count. Long message does not always mean deep love. Short message does not always mean low care. Another situation. You send a message. You see the word seen. Seen. That small gray word can feel very powerful. Seen but no reply. Your heart reacts immediately. If they saw it, why didn't they answer? Repeat that slowly. If they saw it, why didn't they answer? Notice how quickly the mind demands explanation. But seeing something and responding to something are not the same action. You can see a message while walking into a meeting. You can see a message while standing in line at a store. You can see a message when you are too tired to think clearly. Being seen is not the same as being ignored. Let's practice a calming sentence. They may not have the energy right now. Say it with me. They may not have the energy right now. Energy is important. We often think about time, but we forget about energy. Even if someone has 5 free minutes, they may not have the emotional energy to respond thoughtfully. And that is not a personal attack on you. It is simply human limitation. I've learned that when I feel triggered by a message, it helps to delay my reaction. Not to ignore the feeling, but to avoid reacting from fear. For example, if I feel hurt by a short reply, I don't immediately send another long explanation. I wait. I breathe. I ask myself, what do I actually need right now? Reassurance, clarity, connection. And then I try to communicate that need clearly, not with blame, not with sarcasm, but with honesty. For example, hey, I might be overthinking, but your message felt a little distant to me. I just want to make sure we're okay. That kind of message takes courage, because it shows vulnerability. But vulnerability builds stronger bridges than silent guessing. Sometimes we avoid asking because we're afraid of the answer. We think, if I ask, I might hear something I don't want to hear. So instead, we stay in the uncomfortable middle, not knowing, imagining, analyzing. But uncertainty with imagination is often more painful than clarity with truth. If there is a misunderstanding, talking about it can bring relief. If there is distance, naming it can create honesty. And if everything is fine, asking can calm your nervous system. Overthinking thrives in silence. Clarity weakens it. There is another pattern I've noticed. When we like someone very much, a friend, a partner, someone new, we overthink more because the stakes feel higher. If a stranger replies late, we don't care. But if someone important replies late, our thoughts become louder. That's natural. Value creates vulnerability. But we must be careful not to confuse importance with control. You can care deeply about someone and still allow them space. You can hope for connection and still respect their rhythm. One gentle mindset shift that helped me is this. Instead of waiting for their reply to feel calm, I create calm first. That means I don't let my mood depend completely on a notification. If I send a message, I try to return to my life, to my work, to my music, to my walk, to my learning. If my emotional state rises and falls with every vibration of my phone, I am giving away too much power. Your peace is too valuable to attach to a typing bubble. Let's practice a strong sentence. My peace does not depend on a reply. Say it slowly. My peace does not depend on a reply. Again. My peace does not depend on a reply. This is not indifference. It's stability. It means you are grounded inside yourself. And when you are grounded, communication becomes lighter, more natural, less pressured. There is also something beautiful to remember. Text messages are only one form of connection. They are convenient, but limited. Real connection is built over time. Through conversations, through shared experiences, through consistency, through showing up again and again. A single message cannot define a relationship. One short reply cannot erase months of care. One delayed answer cannot cancel genuine affection. But when we overthink, we let one moment become the whole story. We zoom in too closely. We forget the bigger picture. So if you ever catch yourself analyzing one message again and again, try this. Zoom out. Picture the entire relationship, not just the last sentence. Ask yourself, what is the overall pattern? Is this person generally kind, generally respectful, generally present? If the answer is yes, then one small digital moment does not deserve so much emotional weight. If the answer is no, then the issue is bigger than one message, and overthinking that single message will not solve it. Clarity comes from patterns, not punctuation. I want to share one final reflection. Overthinking simple text messages often reveals how much we want to be chosen. Chosen in conversation, chosen in attention, chosen in affection. When someone replies quickly and warmly, we feel selected. When someone delays or sounds neutral, we fear being unselected. But your worth is not decided in daily digital choices. You are already enough. Even before the message, even after the silence, even without the emoji, you are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to express your thoughts fully. You are allowed to communicate clearly without apologizing for existing. And if someone truly cannot meet you in communication, that is information, not a verdict on your value. As you continue learning English, you are learning more than phrases. You are learning how to say, "I feel unsure. I need clarity. I appreciate you. I might be overthinking." These sentences are tools. They give you the power to replace imagination with conversation. And conversation is healthier than assumption. So the next time you see a short message, or a late reply, or a simple "okay," pause. Breathe. Notice your first reaction. Then gently ask yourself, is this a fact or a fear? If it's fear, treat it kindly. If it's fact, address it calmly. You do not need to fight your mind. You only need to guide it, like a teacher guiding a student. With patience, with repetition, with understanding. And little by little, the space between message and meaning becomes wider. In that space, there is freedom. Freedom from constant analysis. Freedom from imagined rejection. Freedom to trust. And when you can trust not blindly, but steadily, communication becomes lighter, more human, more real. Thank you for staying with me in this quiet exploration. If your phone buzzes later today, I hope you remember this conversation. Not perfectly, just gently. Take one breath before you interpret. Take one breath before you assume. Take one breath before you react. You are learning. You are growing. And you are doing it in a thoughtful, beautiful way. And as we truly come to the end now, I want to leave you with something simple. Not a rule, not a technique, just a gentle reminder. You are not wrong for wanting reassurance. You are not weak for caring how someone responds. You are not foolish for feeling a small wave of anxiety when your phone stays quiet. These reactions do not mean you are immature. They mean you are human. We live in a time where connection travels through tiny screens. Words appear and disappear in seconds. A conversation can begin and end without a single sound. That is new in human history. Our hearts are still learning how to live in this fast, digital rhythm. So if you overthink sometimes, it doesn't mean something is broken inside you. It just means you are adjusting. And adjustment takes patience. The next time you catch yourself staring at a message, reading it again and again, searching for hidden meaning, pause. Place your phone down gently. Feel your feet on the ground. Take one slow breath in and one slow breath out. Then say quietly, "I don't have the full story yet." Let those words settle. I don't have the full story yet. This sentence creates space, and space is powerful. In space, your nervous system can calm down. In space, your imagination becomes softer. In space, trust has room to grow. Remember this too, communication is a skill. You are practicing it every day. When you say, "Just checking, are we okay?" When you say, "I might be overthinking." When you say, "Can you clarify what you meant?" You are building emotional strength. That is not dramatic. That is mature. And the more you practice clear language, the less you will need to rely on guessing. Because guessing often creates fear, but asking creates understanding. There may still be days when you overthink. Days when your heart reacts faster than your logic. That's okay. Growth is not about never feeling anxious again. It's about recognizing anxiety sooner. It's about calming yourself a little faster. It's about choosing clarity instead of silence. And each time you do that, even in a small way, you are becoming stronger. Not louder. Not colder. Stronger. Quietly strong. Stable. Centered. And that strength will support you not only in text messages, but in conversations, in relationships, in life. You are learning English, but more importantly, you are learning how to express your inner world. And that is a beautiful skill. So tonight, if a message comes, read it once. If no message comes, breathe anyway. Your peace is bigger than your notifications. Your value is deeper than a reply. And your voice deserves to be heard clearly, not filtered through fear. I'm grateful you stayed with me through this reflection. Take care of your heart. Take care of your words. And take care of your calm. This is English with Thomas. I'm Thomas. Keep speaking. Keep growing. And keep trusting yourself.